It's crazy. Most people think men only fantasize about looks, but the truth is, the real fantasies start after he falls for her. Because when a man truly loves a woman, the things he dreams about doing to her aren't about control or ego. They're about connection, real, deep, lasting connection. The moment that emotionally hooks the audience and makes them want to keep watching or listening. It deepens curiosity and connection right after the opening. If you've ever wondered what a man's heart looks like when he's in love, this is it. Not in words, but in the quiet actions that prove you matter. So keep watching, because understanding this will change how you see love forever. Because at the end of the day, his greatest fantasy isn't about owning your heart, it's about earning it. Have you ever wondered what truly happens inside a man's mind when he's deeply in love with you? Not the obvious gestures or the carefully chosen words, but the quiet, hidden dreams that silently guide how he looks at you, how he touches you, and how he keeps choosing to stay beside you day after day. For a long time, I used to think men were simple and easy to understand. What you see is what you get. But now I'm not so sure anymore. The more I listened, observed, and even asked the hard, sometimes uncomfortable questions, the more I realized there's a whole world behind their silence. And today, I want to take you there. Because what if I told you that some of the most powerful fantasies men hold aren't the fiery or dramatic ones you might expect, but the soft, almost invisible ones that most women completely overlook? I'm not here to feed you fairy tales. I'm here to show you the secret pattern of love that exists inside a man's private imagination. It's like a hidden map, one he'll never hand you directly, but quietly hopes you'll figure out. The strange part is, most women never do. They assume passion must mean drama, or that intimacy lives only in physical moments. But real intimacy lives in the smallest things. It hides in how he pictures holding you when you're too tired to speak, in the way he imagines making you laugh when you're close to tears, in how he secretly wants to be the one who truly knows you, the real you, the one you rarely show anyone else. Now, I could give you a list of 10 fantasies men secretly have. Short, simple, and done. But that's not how real connection works, right? Real love unfolds like waves, sometimes soft and calm, sometimes playful and light, and sometimes so intense it takes your breath away. This journey we're going on will take you through those waves. I'll show you how a man's fantasies start from small, tender touches and grow into something so deep, so lasting, that they change what love actually means. But before we go there, let me ask you something. Have you ever caught your partner just looking at you when you weren't even trying to look good? Maybe no makeup, hair messy, mid-sentence, even complaining about your day, and yet his eyes stayed on you a little too long. Have you ever wondered what he was thinking right then? I'll tell you the truth. In his mind, that might be the most beautiful version of you. He probably won't say it out loud, but that's the first mystery I want to open with you. Why does a man hide those truths? Why not just speak them? Society, culture, expectations, they've all played their part in teaching men to hold back their softer side. But holding it back doesn't make it disappear. It only hides it deeper, making it even more powerful and meaningful. When you learn how to see that hidden side and make space for it, the way he loves you changes completely. So here's what we're going to explore together. The fantasies that begin with holding and kissing, the playful ones that keep your laughter alive, the intimate ones that bloom when you're most open and real, the passionate ones that mix pride with longing, and finally, the forever ones that softly whisper, "I choose you, not just for now, but for the rest of my life." Each of these moments is a piece of the larger story, a rhythm in the music of love. And through this, I'll also share the moments I was wrong, the times I thought men didn't care about something, only to later discover it mattered more to them than anything else. Because what I'm sharing isn't just information, it's discovery. And discovery, my friend, is what connects us all. So don't expect this to end neatly. We're just getting started. The first layer we're going to uncover is tenderness. The kind of fantasies that might sound ordinary, but hold 1,000 unspoken emotions. I'll be honest, I used to overlook this part. I thought hugs were just hugs, kisses were just sweet moments, nothing deeper. But I learned that for many men, those small gestures hold so much meaning in their imagination. That's where we're going next. But before that, let me leave you with one thought. What if that simple embrace you take for granted is actually the fantasy he replays in his head every single night? When a man truly falls in love, his imagination doesn't begin with big moments or grand gestures. It begins with the small, quiet ones that look ordinary to everyone else but feel extraordinary to him. Holding you in his arms, something that might look basic from the outside, is, in his private world, one of the most powerful desires he has. Imagine this. He pictures pulling you close, feeling your body against his chest, breathing in rhythm with you. And for that short moment, the whole world disappears. To him, it's not just physical closeness, it's proof. Proof that you trust him enough to lower your guard. Proof that you see him as your safe place. I used to think hugs were just about comfort. But for many men, a hug is a quiet language that says what words cannot. It says, "I've got you. You're safe here. I'm not going anywhere." And in his private world, he doesn't just imagine holding you. He imagines you softening in his arms, relaxing against him. That's when he knows deep inside that you've chosen him. Right after that comes the thought of kissing you, but not in that movie-style, planned-out way. In his mind, the kisses are spontaneous, natural, and full of emotion. He imagines leaning in while you're laughing, surprising you with a gentle kiss and hearing you laugh into it because you weren't expecting it. He dreams of kissing your forehead when you're half asleep, or your cheek while you're telling a story, or in the kitchen when you're not dressed up, just being yourself. Those small moments are the ones that replay in his mind over and over again. And this is where I had to stop and rethink everything. For years, I thought men mostly fantasized about passion or desire in its most obvious form. But what I've seen over and over is that when a man truly loves, it's not lust that fills his mind, it's intimacy. The kisses he imagines aren't about heat. They're about noticing you, cherishing you, and showing you that in the smallest details of your life, you are deeply loved. Think about it. How many times have you brushed off his hug because you were busy, or turned a kiss into a quick peck because your mind was elsewhere? In his world, those are the moments that mean the most. Because he doesn't imagine you as perfect or staged. He imagines you as real, open, natural, alive in the middle of everyday life. And he wants to be part of that. He wants to show affection right in the middle of the ordinary. That's the tenderness that drives him. Here's something you might find surprising. In studies of couples around the world, when asked what made them feel the most loved, most people didn't pick intimacy or grand gestures. They chose everyday touches, holding hands, hugging, small kisses. And even though men don't always say it, their inner world reflects the same truth. When he closes his eyes, he doesn't see a movie scene filled with candles and roses. He sees you, sitting beside him after a long day, leaning against him while he tucks your hair behind your ear, kissing you softly just because he can. That's his dream. That's the kind of fantasy that stays with him long after the moment has passed. Because for him, love isn't just something he says, it's something he feels in the smallest, quietest ways, over and over again. And yet it's a dream so many women don't truly notice. Let me be honest here. I used to roll my eyes whenever someone said men could be sentimental. I thought it was just an exaggeration. But now I know, sentimental is exactly the right word. Men simply hide it well, under control, under humor, under long silences. Yet in their private thoughts, they replay these soft, tender moments again and again. And if you look closely, you'll see how they try to bring those private dreams into real life, slipping an arm around you while walking through the store, reaching for your hand as you cross the street, leaning in for that simple forehead kiss you thought was random. None of it is random. It's their quiet fantasy breaking through the surface. Here's the part that can sting a little. When women brush off those small gestures, when they tense up instead of relaxing, when they act like it means nothing, men pull back. Not because they're upset, but because it hurts. It tells them that this little dream, this piece of affection, doesn't matter to her. That's why I'm opening this part with you, because once you see it clearly, you'll understand how much quiet power you've had all along. Every time you lean closer, every time you smile into his kiss, every time you let yourself soften in his embrace, you're fulfilling one of his deepest desires. And the more you do it, the more connected he feels. The more he feels seen, bonded, and truly in love. Now, this is just the start. Tenderness is the first rhythm, the foundation. But what happens when a man feels safe enough, close enough, to move beyond tenderness? What happens when he knows you trust him completely? That's when something shifts. His fantasies turn playful. The laughter begins, the teasing, the little surprises, the sweet kind of mischief he secretly wants to share with you. And believe me, that playful side is just as captivating as the tender one. Before we go further, let me ask you something. What if the hug you thought was ordinary was actually the one he'd been waiting for all day? Once tenderness takes root, once he knows his arms are your safe space, once he feels his kisses are welcome no matter how random, something new comes alive in him. His imagination expands from comfort into playfulness. Because the truth is, love isn't just about feeling safe, it's about feeling alive together. And one of the most powerful fantasies a man carries, though he may never say it, is seeing you laugh, really laugh, until your whole body gives in to joy. Imagine the way your eyes light up when you can't stop laughing, the way your shoulders shake, how your hand flies up to cover your mouth as if you're trying to control it but can't. He replays that image in his mind over and over because in that moment he sees the most unguarded version of you. I used to think men valued control, composure, and seriousness, but as I started listening more carefully, I learned that men crave something different too. The sight of the woman they love completely undone by happiness. Not a polite laugh or a practiced smile for pictures, but raw, real, unstoppable laughter. And here's the beautiful irony. In his imagination, he often places himself at the center of that joy. He dreams of being the one who can break through your stress, your worries, your overthinking, with one funny remark, one playful action that makes you forget the weight of the day. To him, that's intimacy too. It's his way of saying, I can reach the real you. But laughter is only one side of his playful dreams. The other is surprise. Now, when I say surprise, don't picture the movie version. A grand gesture with candles, violins, or rose petals everywhere. That's not what he imagines. His fantasies are much simpler, even childlike at times. He pictures walking in the door with your favorite snack when you didn't ask, just to see your eyes light up. He imagines leaving a small, funny note in your bag for you to find hours later, something that makes you smile during a stressful day. He dreams of creating little moments that belong only to the two of you, like building a pillow fort just to watch a movie together, or turning a normal Tuesday night into a private memory that no one else will ever understand. And here's the thing, the real joy for him isn't in the action itself, but in your reaction. The way your eyes sparkle, the sound of your laughter, the surprise gasp when you realize what he's done. To him, that's worth more than any big romantic gesture ever could be. Now tell me, have you ever dismissed those tiny efforts as no big deal? Maybe you thought, it's just coffee, or it's just a silly note, or it's just a small thing. But if you did, you might have unknowingly brushed aside a dream he holds close to his heart. Because in his imagination, those small surprises are never random. They're his way of bringing light and joy into your life. And when you respond, when you light up, laugh, or even just smile warmly, you're not just being polite, you're sending him a powerful message. I see you, I feel you, and I love you for this. That reaction is what fuels him. It inspires him to keep imagining new ways to make you happy, to keep finding fresh ways to bring joy into your shared days. There's also a playful, slightly mischievous layer to these fantasies. He might imagine interrupting your serious mood with something fun, pulling you into a random dance in the kitchen, or whispering something teasing in your ear when you least expect it. It's not about embarrassing you, it's about intimacy disguised as fun. He wants to be the one who keeps you guessing, who reminds you that love doesn't have to fade or feel heavy. He wants to show that it can still feel young, fresh, and alive, even after years together. And let me tell you, I used to believe that once a relationship became stable, men left that playful side behind. But I was wrong. What I found is that the more secure a man feels with you, the more his imagination opens up with ideas to keep the spark alive. Stability doesn't kill playfulness, it feeds it. And why does that matter? Because when a man dreams about laughter and surprise, what he's really longing for is partnership in joy. He doesn't just want to be the strong one, the provider, the protector. He wants to be your teammate in fun, your partner in laughter, your favorite person to share the silly moments with. He wants to be the reason you laugh until you can't breathe, the reason you smile unexpectedly, the reason your world feels brighter just because he's in it. And that's not small, that's real intimacy, disguised as play. I've noticed something powerful over the years. When women allow this side to bloom, relationships don't just stay romantic, they stay alive. Couples who keep laughing, who keep surprising each other with small acts of love, are the ones who last. Because passion may flicker, tenderness might sometimes fade during stressful times, but laughter keeps love strong. Men seem to understand this instinctively, even if they never say it outright. That's why their imagination is filled with playful, funny, sometimes silly moments that might look small from the outside. But those moments are actually the glue that keeps love together. So here's the curiosity I want to leave you with. What if those simple, light-hearted moments you've been overlooking were never just moments at all? What if they were the heart of his fantasy, his way of loving you not with words but through joy? If tenderness is the foundation and playfulness is the spark, what happens when life gets heavy? When you're vulnerable, when the world feels too much to bear? What do his dreams look like then? Because believe me, that layer runs deeper and it reveals a side of men most people never get to witness. The caretaker, the quiet protector, the steady anchor who wants to hold you when you can't hold yourself up. That's where we're heading next. But before we go there, think about this. What if his greatest fantasy wasn't about passion at all, but about being the reason you smile when you least expect to? When the laughter fades into silence and the world feels too loud, another kind of fantasy begins to take shape in a man's heart. This one isn't built on playfulness or desire, but on care, protection, and loyalty. It's the dream of being the person you can lean on when you're too tired to keep standing tall. Picture this. You've had one of those days when everything feels too much, when your shoulders carry invisible weight, when you're just one sigh away from breaking. In his mind, he sees himself stepping in, taking over the little things, wrapping you in warmth, cooking something simple just so you don't have to. He imagines rubbing your shoulders until the tension melts away, running his fingers through your hair until sleep finally comes. And in his heart, he doesn't see you as fragile, he sees you as precious. His fantasy isn't about control, it's about strength, the kind that protects without diminishing, the kind that honors your trust when you let your guard down. I'll admit something. I once believed men avoided vulnerability, that they ran from tears, from raw emotion, from the chaos life throws at us. But what I've come to see is that when a man truly loves, his fantasies don't avoid those moments, they lean into them. He dreams of being the one who holds you through your storms, the one who listens quietly, the one who shows you that no matter how dark it gets, you'll never face it alone. That's not weakness, that's devotion, and it burns far deeper than any candlelit dinner ever could. There's another fantasy that sits quietly in his heart, the image of you completely unguarded. No filters, no polished edges, no rehearsed perfection, just you, natural and real. He imagines you wearing his shirt, your hair messy, your face still soft from sleep. And to him, that's beauty. He doesn't crave the stage version the world sees. He craves the private version only he gets to witness, because that's intimacy, the kind built on trust, not appearance. It's the proof that you're safe enough with him to drop every mask. I used to think men were only drawn to the glamorous, perfected image, but I was wrong. Time and time again, I've seen that when men love deeply, they fall for the moments when you're undone, because to them, that's when love feels real, not performed. Think about it. Have you noticed the way he smiles when you're in sweatpants, or how his eyes linger when you're brushing your teeth, or how he chuckles softly when you mumble in your sleep? Those moments aren't meaningless. They're the fragments of his secret fantasy, proof that in his eyes, you're most beautiful when you're most yourself. And here's the truth, when you let him in at that level, when you stop pretending and allow him to see your fatigue, your imperfections, your unfiltered self, you're fulfilling one of his deepest desires. Because that's when the connection becomes unshakable. There's also the caretaker fantasy that runs even deeper, the tiny acts of love no one else would even notice. He imagines making you tea when you're sick, sitting quietly beside you just to be near, wrapping a blanket around you before you even ask. These small gestures play in his mind, not because they're grand, but because they're real. This is how he proves, even silently, that he'll always show up for you. So let me ask you something. Have you ever mistaken these gestures for routine? Have you ever thought he was just being polite, when, in truth, he was living out one of his purest fantasies, to be your strength, your calm, your quiet protector? Once you see it that way, you realize love runs deeper than words. It's not about being needed, it's about being trusted enough to hold someone when they fall apart. That moment, to him, is sacred. And here's the cycle I want you to see. If tenderness gives him safety, and playfulness gives him joy, and caretaking gives him purpose, what happens when love grows even stronger? When affection turns into something that can't be contained? When passion meets devotion, what does his imagination create then? That's where we step into the realm of passionate fantasies, the kind that makes his heart pound, that he tries to hide but can't fully control. These are the dreams that reveal not only his desire but his pride, his urgency, his deep longing to show the world he belongs to you. That's the next wave of emotion we're about to explore. But before we dive deeper, pause and ask yourself this. What if those ordinary moments, him tucking a blanket around you, him watching you laugh with messy hair, were actually the fantasies that define how he loves you most? Because when a man has learned tenderness, found joy in playfulness, and anchored himself in caretaking, his fantasies naturally evolve into something more consuming, something that merges desire with devotion in ways words can barely express. These are the passionate fantasies, the ones that make his pulse quicken, his breath catch, the ones he struggles to suppress in public, but that overflow in private thought. One of the strongest is the simple, unfiltered urge to kiss you in public, not to show off, not to seek attention, but because his feelings are too powerful to hide. He pictures pulling you close on a crowded street, pressing his lips to yours with such honesty that the world fades away. He imagines leaning in during a conversation, brushing your hair back and stealing a soft kiss on your neck. Not to prove anything, but to remind you that even in a room full of people, you're his center. To him, those moments aren't about performance. They're about truth. They're about the kind of pride that doesn't shout, the kind of love that doesn't hide. Alongside that, there's another fantasy burning quietly, the desire to know you fully, both body and soul. He imagines learning every detail, what makes you smile in the middle of silence, what brings you comfort after chaos, what calms your heart when everything feels uncertain. He wants to understand the rhythm of your being, not to claim you, but to connect with you completely. And here's something most don't realize. This fantasy isn't built on lust alone, it's built on exclusivity. It's his way of saying, you're the one I want to understand completely.